Good evening and thank you for joining us. A large-scale structure fire destroyed a cabin late this afternoon in the Goldstream Valley.
And while fire personnel are trying to determine a direct cause of the fire, the incident also has the Alaska State Troopers investigating as well. Officials got the call just after 3:30 p.m. responding to a residence at 1381 Jones Road. According to Chena Goldstream Fire Chief Jack Willard, the large cabin was fully engulfed in flames when they arrived on scene. It's not known if anyone was present in the structure as the fire was being put out. Chief Willard says their investigation into the matter continues.
Got here on arrival, we had a fully involved cabin, a two-story cabin that's pretty much completely gutted on the inside. So,
anybody inside?
We don't know that at this time. We haven't got in and searched the whole cabin yet. So.
Okay. And when did you all get the call and fully involved when you all got here?
When the first piece of apparatus arrived, we had fire coming out of all the doors and windows.
Now, in a related story, while responding to the Goldstream fire late today, firefighters with the Esther Volunteer Fire Department were dealt with a crushing and very expensive blow. News Center 11's Daryl Lewis has more on the story.
Thanks. Well, as you can see behind me, one major piece of fire equipment belonging to the Esther Volunteer Fire Department wasn't able to make it to the fire along Jones Road late this afternoon. Now, I happened to come up on the accident. Fire officials that were inside of the truck at the time of the accident assured me that they were okay. But as you can see, it's going to be a while before this truck, this giant piece of equipment, is able to be brought up, and whether it's still usable after that is anyone's guess. The good thing is everyone was able to make it out okay. For News Center 11, I'm Daryl Lewis. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks. Even though it's known that 16 different companies or groups have filed letters of interest to truck natural gas from the North Slope, the players have not been named. The Alaska Industrial Development and Export Authority has refused to release information about the proposals. Alaska statute allows ADA to keep the information confidential. All of those submitting ideas or expressing interest are seeking funding from the state for the project. Now, some lawmakers are saying the project is big enough and will have enough impact on the state's economy that the details should not be kept secret.
After a host of delays and legal fighting between attorneys, trial for a 36-year-old accused rapist has been given a definite start date, thanks to a state court judge who says there will be no further delays in the near 2-year-old case. Dean Ranstead is facing a possible life prison term for the alleged sexual assault of an incapacitated female back in late May of 2011. He's charged with 1 count of first-degree sexual assault and 2 counts of sexual assault in the second degree. Trial, which was supposed to begin Monday, has now been set off until March 11th.
Fairbanks area members of the Governor's Veterans Advisory Council were in Juneau recently to talk with the governor about a number of issues. One is finding land for a veteran cemetery in the Fairbanks area. The Interior delegation helped win $1 million in state money to begin planning the cemetery. The federal government will pitch in about $6.5 million once the project is started. Finding a suitable plot of ground has been a challenge. They thought they had a site, but it didn't work out.
The original plot that they had picked out could not be used because there was too much frost in the ground. So now there's a search underway for additional land. We need 40 to 100 acres to build a veteran cemetery in the interior.
That would be a nice addition.
That would be really good. It's something the community really needs.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, now when we come back, an update on the man injured at the Aurora power plant.
And kicking off American Heart Month. Stay with us.
This edition of the Fairbanks Evening News is brought to you by Prospector Outfitters and by Kendall Auto of Fairbanks.
And welcome back. Officials with the Aurora Energy Power Plant say the employee whose arms were caught in a conveyor belt Tuesday afternoon had successful surgery and is expected to retain the use of both arms. Company President Buki Wright said both his company and the state's Occupational Safety and Health section are continuing their investigation into what happened. Firefighters were on scene for about 90 minutes while freeing the man from the conveyor belt.
A 33-year-old Keltag man has been accused of trying to sexually assault a woman last Sunday in the lower Yukon River community. Stuart Madros is being held without bail on charges of attempted first-degree sexual assault and 1 count of sexual assault in the second degree. Madros was transported to Fairbanks and arraigned on Monday. The woman reported she woke up to find Madros, who had been sleeping in the living room, assaulting her. Now, the woman's elementary school-age son, who was sleeping next to his mother, gave troopers a similar account.
As a nationwide push to raise heart disease awareness, February is American Heart Month, and it is sponsored annually by the American Heart Association. The month kicks off with a National Wear Red Day tomorrow. Although heart disease strikes both men and women, heart disease is the #1 killer of women. There has been a long-standing impression that heart disease is a man's disease and does not affect women. This is patently untrue and has led to the failure of properly managing heart disease in half the population. Armed with this knowledge, women can improve their lifestyle and take control of the risk of heart disease.
There'll be places all over the country that will be bathed in red light to shine light on heart disease. And of course, here in Fairbanks, we have the Go Red Luncheon on February 15th, which starts out with a day of educational sessions in the morning and then culminates in the luncheon from 11 to 1.
Now, all of us here at KTVF will be wearing our red tomorrow night to support the kickoff of American Heart Month, and we hope you also will be wearing red tomorrow.
The University of Alaska will face serious challenges in 2014 if budget issues are not addressed. Now, that's according to University President Pat Gamble. Gamble recently spent time with lawmakers noting the cost of maintenance, and it could increase in coming years if the state continues to appropriate insufficient resources to the problem. However, Gamble says his biggest challenge will be raising the graduation rate, which currently hovers around 30%. The university is shifting its concentration on preparing its students for successful careers rather than focusing on increasing its enrollment as it did during the past decade.
The Fairbanks Economic Development Corporation has issued a request for pre-feasibility studies on wood-fired heating projects. The RFP is part of a larger goal to develop sustainable heat source projects in rural communities. Space heating concerns aren't localized to the interior, and that is why each year the Fairbanks Economic Development Corporation requests pre-feasibility studies to be submitted by interested firms, groups, companies, and organizations, which would ultimately benefit rural communities seeking to lower their energy and heating costs.
We're surrounded by 43 rural communities that use Fairbanks as their service center. We supply them with the food they eat. They hold their conferences in Fairbanks. So a successful rural community helps make a successful Fairbanks.
And like Fairbanks, heating and energy costs are forefront concerns. The Alaska Energy Authority and a number of other state and federal agencies have formed a consortium called the Alaska Wood Energy Task Group that works in conjunction with rural communities to best find heat and energy solutions.
The rural communities are facing the same thing, even more severe, because their energy costs not only are coupled with the cost of energy, but coupled with the transportation costs to get that energy to rural Alaska. So you look at how can we cut it.
This year, 10 communities have submitted building and structures they would like to see outfitted with energy or heat projects. Fedco helps in the soliciting through the RFP. Wood-fired projects may be somewhat misleading as some communities are not located in forested areas. The more practical term would be biomass heat and energy projects.
It's just whatever whatever is combustible that you can effectively harvest, put it into a burner or a boiler of sorts, and produce energy with it and save money.
The request for pre-feasibility studies has a deadline of February 15th. Fedco says they quickly turn around a project proposal to AEA, who then greenlights several projects for funding or further study.
Hey, Joe.
How you guys doing?
We're doing well, good. Tell us about sports.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, we had another great high school basketball game that happened last night, the Battle of the Birds. You'll see that. And the Yukon Quest is upon us. That and so much more we got coming up in sports.
Brought to you by the Law Office of Rita T. Alley. Peace of mind through professional legal services.
Hello.
Hello, Interior Alaska. Joe Cook here. Once again, the sports seat for you this Thursday night. Hope your day is going well. Now let's talk some sports. When Allison visited Hutchinson earlier this month, the Hawks won 64-34, a beatdown. Last night, the Hawks came to Allison, and the Ravens wanted to return the favor. The Battle of the Birds. It wasn't a beatdown by any means. It turned out to be the game of the night. The Hawks started out strong with a 10-3 lead thanks to some Darren Silas threes. The Ravens' Javante Kincaid would answer, leading his team on a 14-0 run, and the Ravens led 19-12 after one. Allison was up 30-26 at halftime. Both stars kept the game close in the third as Silas and Kincaid went at it. Down 2 points, Kincaid, who had 21 points, gets the steal, and after that, he would get an and one, and they will call an intentional foul. The Ravens hit their free throws and had a 6-point swing, 48-44, but Allison and the Hawks, they kept fighting back. Daniel Page, he hit a three, and he had Page finished with 10 points for the night. In the fourth, the teammates just stepped up. Anthony Griffith was a force. He had 17 points, bringing the Ravens within 5 after a Hawks 14-8 run with 53 seconds left. But the Hawks complete the comeback and hold off the Ravens for a 62-57 win. Silas hit shots down the stretch, finishing with the game-high 25 points and 4 blocks for Hutchinson.
We didn't get off to a hot start, and at halftime, we talked it over and decided it's time to turn it on. We just had to play better D and just had to make shots when it counted.
Yeah, this game, I tease people. I think my baby's going to come out ADHD because it's stressing me out. We learn from these games and learn how to keep our composure and be under control and stuff. So I think it's really good for our young kids. And I mean, you know, all of them in general. Hopefully when we get to the postseason, we don't make the mistakes we're making now.
And the Hawks girls would complete the sweep with a draw of the Ravens. It was 35-8. Hutchinson at halftime. The Hawks had a Sweet 16 with Allison Yingling, Mimi Wood, and Ellie Veasley dropping 16 points apiece. Allison's Katie Browder had a team-high 7 points for the Ravens. Veasley hit 4 threes in the game as the Hawks win 65-20.
I've been practicing a lot because my shot wasn't that good last year. So I just wanted to, when Mimi leaves, we need some people to, step up and take her spot. So I just want to help out the team for next year. We've been known for winning through our defense. So we like to, practice defense most of the time. And so we expected to have, a good defensive game.
And the Nanics hockey team will be putting their 6-game winning streak on the line against the Miami Redhawks, the number 4 team in the nation. The way the Nanics are playing, it won't matter. They have confidence. UAF now has more conference wins than last year with 9. It has matched their win total from a season ago with 12. And they have a hot goalie, too. John Keeney was named the CCHA Rookie of the Month today. Keeney's 6 wins during the winning streak are the best in the nation by any goalie. The puck drops tomorrow at 3:35 Alaska time. We'll have scores right here on Channel 11. And another Fairbanks hockey team is putting their streak on the line in the big series this weekend as well. The Ice Dogs start a 3-game series with the Wenatchee Wild tonight in Wenatchee. The Ice Dogs are just 1 point behind the Wild in the West Division. The Ice Dogs have won 8 of their last 9 and riding a 4-game winning streak. Some hot dogs. Garrett Clement was named West Star of the Week for his 7 points against Springfield. Clement is the 3rd Ice Dog to be named Star of the Week in January, joining David Lowe and Jason Angus. We'll have the outcome of the game tomorrow. And the 31st Yukon Quest, starts this weekend in Whitehorse and finishes up in Fairbanks this year. We caught up with Race Marshal Doug Grillio, his 4th time as Marshal, and we talked with him about the organization process in the field of mushers before his team left for Whitehorse, Yukon earlier this week.
I'm more confident this year. I'm more comfortable with the entire preparation of the team because that's what this thing all hinges on. It's not just one individual. I end up being in charge of the race once it starts, but all of the volunteers have to be organized. All of our logistics have to be organized. So we have an incredible staff on both sides of the border this year. I think Lance Mackey is always, one of the top 2 favorites. You always have to look at him. Jake Berkowitz has run this race before and has done really well in the past. Of course, you can never, discount the defending champion, Hugh Neff. Alan Moore lost by 26 seconds, or 2nd place by 26 seconds last year, so he'll definitely be in that top 4 or 5.
And just coming in, the Western Washington team was beating the Nanics 77-48, the final just coming into the newsroom just now. And as you saw, the Yukon Quest again this weekend, and we'll have daily updates on our sportscast once the Yukon Quest starts. And that'll do it for sports tonight. Thanks for rocking with me for a little while. For more KTVF sports, go to webcenter11.com, Twitter, YouTube, and our new mobile app. And stay cool, Alaska. Mike Schultz has your full weather forecast coming up next. We'll catch you next time.
Hey, hello everyone. Welcome back into Fairbanks Evening News. Mike Schultz along with you for a look at weather. Starting off with another great photograph. This one sent in by Bill Cody. Mount McKinley in the distance. If you look off there to the left bottom corner of your screen, you can see Mount McKinley with the sunshine behind it. Thanks a lot, Bill, for that photograph. If you have a photograph, by all means, send it to Mike Schultz at KTVF11.com. What's going on at the airport right now? We still have some light snow falling, 7 degrees after a high of 13. That was nice. A low of 3. The record high 42, 1940. Record low 52 below 1911. Sunrise at 9:39. Sunset 4:33. We will go over 7 hours of daylight tomorrow. That's nice to pass along. That's a gain of 7 minutes from yesterday. Here's our satellite picture. You can see most of the moisture moving into Canada. Not too much on the way into our direction. Another storm system way down to the south that might be affecting us by the end of the weekend. But for right now, clear skies and temperatures continuing very comfortable. Speaking of what's going on in the satellite and radar, you can see the radar showing we have a little bit of snow shower activity moving in from the west, but nothing really heavy expected, and that will move out pretty fast too. What's going on across the rest of the state? Showers over southeast Alaska, fog around Bowl, also foggy around Bethel, cloudy skies at Nome, and some snow shower around Barrow with partly cloudy to cloudy skies in the Fort Yukon area. Lower 48 weather, things have calmed down considerably. Cold temperatures across the central portion of the country with, once again, not too much action except for some lake effect snows going on. You can see the cold air spinning around the jet stream there, and the jet stream again shows up once again very well defined, again driving that cold air in from Canada across much of the Great Lakes all the way down into the deep south. Well, back to Alaska for tomorrow for the northern sections, flurries and fog for Barrow, scattered snow in Nome, and about an inch of snow expected for Fort Yukon. Here in the interior, we'll be looking at scattered clouds, a little cooler for Fairbanks and Healy. Over southeast Alaska, still pretty wet and messy down there. Rain and snow for Juneau and rainy in Ketchikan. Over to the southwest, not too bad. Partly cloudy for Bethel, rain and snow at Cold Bay and also at Kodiak. And over the south central regions, it looks like just partly cloudy skies at Anchorage, some snow for Homer, cloudy skies in Valdez. And okay, once again for our kids' weather, all this week we've been visiting with the kids from Tuckasuk Brown Elementary School, but tonight we're going to have the teacher with an interesting weather fact.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Nelson along with Mrs. Mardo. This is our 3rd grade class here at Tuckasuk Brown Elementary School, and we have a weather fact to share with you. Class, did you know the wettest place on earth is in India, where close to 480 inches or 40 feet of rain falls each year?
And they were pretty amazed by that. Next week, the kids will be visiting us from Two Rivers Elementary School. One more chance to check out our road conditions for tonight, brought to you by the Jose Body and Paint folks over there, and also the Department of Transportation. Icy roads, black ice in some areas, and some areas of snow. Basically, just some really sloppy conditions and very dangerous, so keep that in mind. Okay, here's your forecast for the remainder of the night. Looking at 8 degrees below zero with lingering snow showers. Tomorrow's forecast, 3 degrees above, a little cooler than today. And the extended forecast, again, looking not too bad. Temperatures still above normal until we get into the Tuesday, Wednesday period. Then we drop down to around 0 and also the minus degree category. And we're looking at overnight lows also getting quite cold as we're looking at not too much on the way of precipitation. Looks like things will be drying out considerably, but not as cold, obviously, as previously.
Looks good, man.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yet another good forecast, Mike.
Thank you.
Good
I
job.
do my
You've been
best.
talking Mother Nature? Okay.
You notice we all wore blue tonight
I was
because
gonna say that.
because tomorrow we're wearing red.
Tomorrow we're all wearing red.
Right.
We're
So
matchy.
I think we just did it because of
What a great news team.
That's for the
High five.
49ers. All right, that'll wrap up this edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. Of course, we're glad you could join us.
Tonight on NBC Nightly News, outrage over the death of a 15-year-old girl who's become the face of a gun violence epidemic. That's coming up next with Brian Williams.
And if you have a story, idea, or see news happening, call us at 458-1830.
And that will do it from all of us here at the News Center. We'll see you back here at 11.